I guess I am not Ray. Not yet, anyway. Only after a few cups of coffee am I Ray. Almost there. I am Ray, and you better not tell anyone the secret, because they're not going to believe you anyway. I want you to imagine. I snap my fingers. Well, I guess you don't have to imagine that, because I just did it. I want you to imagine that I snap my fingers, and we are teleported into a new world that you have never seen before. And at the same moment, we begin taking off our VR headsets, and you look around and you see every other human being on the planet also wearing the VR headset. What is going on? And then I say, time to go, can't stay here anymore. Put on the headset, and then here we are again. Magic. Now, how would you go about living your life after this? Well, first of all, it's not like you could tell anyone, because they wouldn't believe you, obviously. But this is what spiritual awakening is like. It's waking up to the true nature of reality. That is so unbelievable. And it's one of those things that it kind of sucks because you really want to talk to everybody about it, but, there's no one to talk to about it. Unless you join my spiritual community. $10,000 a month. That last part was a joke. And I think everyone goes through this phase where they really want to talk about the things they've discovered, but they try to talk about it with people who don't understand, who cannot understand. So they look at you and like, hey, I think you're pretty crazy. How about you stop talking? And if you were born, let's say, 200 years ago, they probably would have, burned you at the stake or something. But today we'll burn you up some nice steaks. Because I don't know how to cook. I'm just kidding, that was a lie. I am a very good chef. I'm gonna have to convince you otherwise, because now you're not gonna believe me. Darn it. Little Bodhi, convince them.
Look how charred I am. He's not very good at anything, is he? Well, how could you do this to me?
That is some good coffee, though.
Yeah, to someone who's got COVID, jerk.
I've had it up to here. I will throw you in the washer and never take you out. You see, what the whole VR analogy means, it's not like we're actually in some warehouse somewhere, in the either where. He has poisoned me.
Maybe it's just your terrible coffee.
It's not like we're chilling in some warehouse somewhere in the ether realms. Here's perhaps a better example. Here you are, sitting down, and imagine you're in a movie theater. Here's a screen right here. And on the screen is your life, the movie. All the characters and all the scenes and experiences unfolding. And the thing is, we think we're actually in the movie. We don't realize that we're in the movie theater watching it. And see, this is a big difference. Because, let's say if you were playing Jurassic Park, it's like you would think there are real dinosaurs chasing you and you're really going to get eaten and this is not good. But once you realize you're just in the movie, well, you can have the experiences. You can have the fear and the worry and the excitement and the joy and the love and the sadness even. But the fundamental thing that's going on is you're just watching a movie for your entertainment purposes. But if you feel like you're in the movie, it's not really enjoyable because the fear is really fear that you think everything is really happening. And when you awaken, there is this peace and freedom that washes over you because you realize there is this safe space between you and between everything else, that you were never actually in danger, that there was never anything wrong, but that you were enjoying God's entertainment, the story unfolding. And for the first time, you can actually enjoy life because you're not so attached to your experiences. You're not getting pulled all over the place. Another movie example is everyone is like method acting. They really think they're the character, and they really think everything going on is the truth. But the fact is, it's a set, it's a movie set, and they are an actor. So waking up is realizing that you are the actor. You are not the character you are playing. And from the actor realization, you kind of have this relief like, oh, it's just a movie. I'm just playing here. Now I can actually play to the best of my abilities. As I like to say, you are not the character in the video game. You are the one behind the screen with the controller in your hands. How many more analogies do you need? I'm sure there are more. Think about it this way. Everything in our life is a changing experience. That is the true nature of reality. And we judge and label our changing experiences. So you're born into this life. You grow up and experience all the change of the waking state. Then you go to sleep, you go to dream states, and you experience more change. And then you go and fall into deep sleep, which is another changing experience, and you wake up and you do it all over again. But you see, we don't experience things as changing experiences. We experience things as unique individual forms. Like here I am awake in this human body doing human things. But fundamentally the true nature of everything is just change. If only hobos knew this. So we are caught in the world of 10,000 things, of all the changing experiences. We believe ourselves to be a changing experience. Because we look at our body and we say, well, yeah, I am my body. But your body's a changing experience. I am my mind, I am my personality. I am this human being. I am a man, I am a woman. I am both. It's all changing experience. But what is the one constant behind it all? Is it not you? Well, who else is it going to be? Who else is having your experiences? I don't know, maybe you're a cuckold. I don't know. You are the one constant behind it all. From the moment you're born until the moment you die, you are always there. Even in the dream state, even in the deep sleep state, you are always there. Which means that you are the unchanging. And it's just mathematics. If everything is changing, it must mean that you are the unchanging. Or the unchanging is somewhere, we gotta find it. Oh, wait, it's you. And that's something you can perceive with your own two eyeballs. It's not philosophy, it's not belief. You have to see it for your own self. And you have to see that you identify with your changing experiences, and you don't realize that you're the unchanging awareness behind it all. The silent witness, awareness, consciousness. And think about what is unchanging. Unchanging is eternal. And what is eternal never dies. Only that which changes comes and goes. But you never come and go. You are always right here, right now. Death is just another changing experience. And again, you don't need some religious philosophy to believe that. You just have to see with your own two eyes. That everything around you, even your thoughts, everything that you can experience is change, but not you. And once you realize that you are the unchanging, you realize you're in the movie theater. You realize you're behind the screen. You realize you're not the actor, which is a changing experience. Or you're not the character. Sorry, you are the actor. My bad. This is waking up in the VR warehouse. You realize that is all this kind of simulation. God simulation. Now there's nothing to be afraid of. And that no matter what happens in this life, it's all okay. And it will forever be okay for all eternity. It's all good. Don't worry about it. You tap into the part of yourself which is the truest part that is already free. Like imagine the eye of the storm. The eye of the storm is stillness. But around it is the chaos. So too, that is our experience. That is our life. But we're getting caught, swept up in the storm. Don't realize that we can be rooted in this stillness and be free. And experience everlasting peace. Because the unchanging does not change. And therefore, the peace does not change either. The freedom does not change. Because think about it. Fundamentally, whatever you experience cannot be the real you. Because then who is the one experiencing it? You are the experiencer, experiencing the change. And this space right here, fundamental space, is your safe space, that of which no experience can touch you. It cannot affect you at all or influence you at all. The changing experiences can only affect other changing experiences, but not you. You are free. Here's your freedom, right there, and your peace. Peace is the default state. The only reason we don't experience peace is because we're getting pulled all over the place by our changing experiences. And so what happens is that once you awake to your true nature, well, sometimes you get pulled back into your changing experiences again. You get pulled back into ego identification because it's got a lot of karmic momentum, a lot of energy, a lot of juice. And you get pulled in, and then you remember. Because it creates suffering. You experience suffering when you begin identifying with the ego. You get pulled into your thoughts. You really believe that this thing is a real problem, what's going on right now. And then you remember, and then you experience relief and peace, and it's a self-motivating process because you don't want to experience suffering no more. You want to experience freedom and peace. So it makes sense. You just stop allowing yourself to feed the ego, to entertain the nonsense, to entertain the things that are creating suffering in your life. And eventually you stabilize in your true place, and that is when peace never leaves you. You stop oscillating back and forth. Now, the simplest way to tap into your true nature is to realize, well, what else is eternal? What else is unchanging? Well, it's the present moment. Ever heard of it? Probably not. Most of us are just living in our minds. But the present moment is eternal. From the moment you born until the moment you die, it's one present moment. You're always in the present moment. But the thing is, because we're identified with our minds and our egos and our temporary changing selves, we're always getting pulled out of the present moment into our mind space, never truly present. That's how we live our lives, most of us. So it's really just building a habit of returning to the present moment. And you might say that through this habit, you begin to become more and more aware of your true place, your true state. You find what is true right here, right now, what does not change. That is what you must find. And you find yourself. Because you know your thoughts change. You know your personality changes. Your body changes. But what is the thing, if you could call it that if you see it today, and you go and look for it tomorrow, and the next day, and 100 years from now, it will be the same. It will always be right here, right now. What is that? Find it. And until you find it, you're going to get pulled into your changing experiences. And you can use the trouble and the problems that you experience in this life, your attachments to things. You use these as your spiritual practice because they are revealing where you are identified with change. And every time you experience that attachment, you get pulled back into whatever. You get triggered. It's an indication that you have temporarily fallen out from your true state. You have been disconnected from the present moment. Now, here's the thing. You are always here. You are always in the present moment. You can never not be in the present moment. The thing is, your mind is not aware of it. It's aware of thoughts. You don't have to create anything. You don't have to imagine anything. You just have to realize what is already here. The more you find yourself playing mental games, the less you are tapped into the truth. This is not a mental game. It's just simply an observation of what is true in this moment. You close your eyes, find out what is true. Where am I? Who am I? What is going on here? And all that is required is that you seek, because unless you have a desire for freedom, you're not going to find it. You're going to get too pulled into the world. You're just going to want the stimulation of the world, and you're not going to know that there's something better waiting for you. And until you muck about in the world enough and have enough suffering, then you realize, okay, I give up. I'm done with this. Time for freedom. This requires great persistence. Because again, the gravity of the world is going to pull you into it. And those who have a strong desire for freedom God will guide you to your true place and help you along this journey. And at the same time, those who look for themselves find God, and those who look for God find themselves. Your true self, you are the divine essence of God. You always have been. You have been dreaming that you are not. This is all God's great divine play. There is only God in the eternal state, experiencing the temporary. God in the limitless state, experiencing the limited. And this is what it means to awaken. Awaken to the true nature of reality. That it's all God's divine play. God's great game of hide and seek. God has forgotten that it was God so that it can enjoy the experience of itself. Because if God just knew it was God, well, that would be no fun. You beat the game instantly. So God has to forget. God has to pretend that it's not God. And that is us, so that we can experience this world. All the tragedy and all the goodness and all the love and all the hatred and all the murder. This divine drama. And with all the terrible things that happen in this world and in the universe, because, well, there's one planet upon billions, right? There's billions of planets everywhere, all the time. So, we're not the center of the universe. I didn't know if you knew that. At the end of it all, it's all okay. Because everything will be made right in the end. There is just temporary suffering. Now, it doesn't mean that we just get rid of our separate self. That has nothing to do with this. It doesn't mean we have to kill the ego. It doesn't mean we have to start shouting from the rooftops that we are God. No, you just stop identifying with your changing experiences. That's all it is. You can still go play in the world. In fact, now you actually get to, begin the game of life. I like to say everyone else is playing life on demo mode, so long as you're attached to your changing experiences. Because think about how different life is, living from the God state. You are free. You become fearless. Doesn't mean fear doesn't arise. It means you're no longer identified with the one who is afraid. So you can move forth and live your dreams. Because there's nothing stopping you anymore. You can live from a place of freedom and peace, not bound by the suffering of material existence anymore. And it is precisely our ignorance which enslaves us that provides the contrast that gives the freedom meaning. Because if there was no slavery, if there was no pain and suffering, there would be no point of the heavens. You might ask, well, why isn't everything just heavenly all the time? Why isn't everything just good? Well, because that's not life. That's not experience. It's dull. That's a dead reality. I'm sure God tried it and saw that it didn't work and came to this conclusion. And you begin to see the perfection behind it all. That the darkness and the light are equally in service to the whole thing. That the villain and the hero are both contributing to the movie. And you will begin to see with your own two eyes that the struggles that you go through, the tension, the drama, it only gives your life more meaning. It doesn't take anything away from you. But a lot of people who are struggling in survival mode, they're like, this is just miserable. I hate life. But they hate life because they're disconnected from life. Because they're so deeply rooted in ignorance. And as I like to say, if you just tasted one drop of the water of God, you would throw away your whole worldly existence and worship God for all eternity. Because for the first time you found what you were actually looking for. And you cannot take your eyes away from that again. Nothing in the world will satisfy you. Because it's all temporary changing experiences. But you can find lasting satisfaction in the eternal. This is why Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God that is in you, and then go out into the world and do your thing. Because once you realize that God is always taking care of you, you're no longer placing the psychological burdens upon yourself. Once you realize that everything is perfect, instead of suffering your experiences in the down times and the storms of life, you walk through them with grace. You dance through them. Because you realize God right there with you the whole time saying, yeah, let's go. It's okay, I got your hand. Don't worry about it. Whereas most people feel like they're just lost little children, wandering about in the world, not knowing what's going on, not realizing that God was there the whole time, just waiting for you to recognize. And at any moment, you can call out to God and say, God, please help me. I'm done. I'm tired of this. Please. I give up. I don't want to do this anymore. That is a great spot to be in because you're no longer attached to your changing experiences. You've had enough. Now you can surrender. Otherwise, the ego is going to be ruling your life. And it needs to get beaten down sometimes. Until it surrenders and gives up. And God has to do it, has to beat it up, because it's leading you off a cliff. The quicker you can surrender the ego, the quicker you will find freedom. Seek and you will find. And all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is knock on God's door. God, open the door. Open the door. Let me in. You think God's going to deny you? If you cry out to God, God will not deny you. I am Ray, and find your tribe of fellow spiritual seekers down below. It's not $10,000, I promise. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be